Okay, so up here you can see I added a few more points. We had the 3 points, these three down here, and then I just added 3 points up here. And notice I had a bigger distance between these two because that was pretty straight. We're a little bit over the curve here and a little bit under the curve there. So I added those points just the same way I did before. Then I did a slight change. Instead of just saying y equals m1x plus b1, I actually changed all those y's to s1, s2, s3, s4, s5 like that, and got the 5 straight lines that we see here. If I start turning them off, we can see them disappear. So I'm going to, try to turn those back on. So I turned those 3 back on. I have the other 2 piecewise parts in here. Now the reason I did this, went to a S1 equals like that, was to make this part in here a little shorter. So the best I can tell, I still have to tell it these bounds just like this. I couldn't find a shorter way to do things. But then for the evaluation part, the function part, if I define my S1 up here as my straight line, then here, after I tell it the domain for that piece, I could just use the S1, which made it shorter. And so I don't run out of room so quickly, because at some point there are only so many characters you can do here, and it just gets hard to edit and all that. Now another part of editing is, if you wish, you can always grab this piece and put it way out here while you edit to help you out. I'm going to put it back, I guess, or at least back about where it was. And so now, notice the pattern here was, it started at x1, went to x2, and then I did an s1, then I'll go x2 to x3, then an s2, comma. Now I'll do an x3 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to x4, and put a colon and then an S3 going with the X3, and I can see that it added it as I went there. So then comma, and I'll do my X4 less than or equal to X, less than or equal to X5. So a lot of repetition on this. That's a good way to get used to things and get comfortable with them. So here's S4, and then finally the last segment goes from x5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to x6, and that is, I need a colon, and that is S5. Okay, so I have them all there, and I should be able to see that if I turn those off. Yep, so there I have the whole thing done. Looks pretty good. I think you could argue that maybe that gap in there and that gap in there are kind of big. Maybe it would be worth putting another point here to make those look closer together. But that's the idea. And then again, I can evaluate these straight line functions very simply. Anywhere between 0 and 6, simply 6d, not 6, simply by saying, I want to evaluate s at, say, 25. And I get 0.341,475, about 0.34. So I can do those evaluations pretty simply, and so that's how we do it. And of course we're going to also want to do the no stigmatization curve. Now so that takes care of that part for now, and again we'll get back to some more videos.